It is easier for you to remember the negative incidents from the past rather than remembering the positive ones. You remember that occasion when your parents left you alone and went for a party, while you don't seem to remember those loving memories that you had with your parents. You remember that day when your partner forgot that it was your birthday or your anniversary, but you don't seem to remember any number of times your birthday was celebrated. Let us say you were on a beautiful vacation for a month and you had, say, 3 bitter experiences in that period. Your mind goes back to those 3 bitter moments again and again for a very long time. It doesn't go back to those joyful and the fun moments that you had. In comparison to the negative, your visitations to the positive and the beautiful memories are less frequent, and we can say definitely less intense. Do you know why you think this way? There is a science behind this. Our human brain has a tremendous attraction for the negative. We can say it is like a Velcro for anything that is negative. On the other hand, it is also like a non-stick for the positive. Positive and beautiful do not stick to the human brain easily. And there is a reason for that. For several million years, our brain is trained to remember something that is unpleasant and negative to ensure our survival. In ancient times, you had to remember if there was a tiger on a particular tree. If you did not remember that, you would die. There was no second chance. But it was okay if you forgot where the fruit-bearing tree was, because you could always find food somewhere else. Probably you had to work harder for it. Your brain is primed to think negatively so that it can survive, so that it can be prepared for any threat. Today, the situation is different. It has become our downside. This tendency of the brain has become our downside. We as a species are definitely not living in the jungles. We're not living in the wild, but we are still living with the same negatively biased brains. You're sleeping in the comfort of your home, but your brain is continuing to function in loops of anxiety and stress. You're lying down on your bed, you're constantly worried about what could happen to your children. You're lying down on your bed, you're constantly worried about what could happen to your investment. These concerns may or may not be grounded in reality, but your negatively biased brain will keep playing these scenes again and again, impacting your health, impacting your body. You feel as if you are in a horror movie or a tragic movie of your own life. You see these most painful, hurtful situations come to pass in your head again and again. Your brain is in an overdrive, believing that you are in such painful situations, and it gets your entire body mechanism on an alert to face the worst. How ridiculous. How harmful to the body. You most often respond to life, respond to circumstances when you are overpowered by the brain's negative bias. You actually do not know to distinguish reality from your anxiety-based projections. You project all night that you're not valued at your workplace, and when you actually get to work the next morning, you work from that space of feeling not worthy and feeling very emotionally hurt. Or say you engage in projection that your partner does not value your sacrifices that you're making for the family. And when you actually get back from work, get back home, you relate to your partner from that space of frustration. Of course, your partner does not have a clue about what is going on within you and why you are so irritated. Is there a way to cut through this negativity and wire your brain to positivity? there is. The way to cut through this negativity is to nurture a state of awareness. Awareness is a practice of bringing attention to the present moment. Awareness is the opposite of the chaotic imaginations thrown by your overactive amygdala. Please know that your overactive amygdala is responsible for the negative bias of the brain. When your amygdala is neurologically overactive, that is when you're caught in these negative movies. When you practice awareness, you declutch from these mental movies and do not feed this negativity. As you practice awareness, you are freed of the chaotic imaginations of your brain. Your brain is in a space of restful alertness, where you're focused, efficient, and creative. You are rewiring your brain to positivity in awareness. You become free of the negative bias by becoming an observer to your thinking, because in observation, you are strengthening the neurological activity in medial prefrontal cortex, reducing the activity in the amygdala. Amygdala know that is responsible for anxiety, fear, and anger. But in observation, it is the medial prefrontal cortex that becomes active. Believe me, you can rewire your brain with dedication, with repeated meditation practice of, say, 10 to 12 minutes a day. You can get rid of the negative bias of the brain. You could naturally become a positive person, a joyful person, a person for whom letting go of disappointments and anger and hurt becomes very easy. Conflicting mental noise becomes silenced. You find greater space to experience and live life. If awareness is what you cultivate individually, amidst your friends, amidst your family members, you need to cultivate loving conversation. Loving conversation is a spiritual art where one of them becomes a listener, encourages the other to speak. And when the other speaks, you hold them in a space of non-judgment. Hold them in a space of compassion for the inner stress that they are going through. Offer them loving understanding, letting them know that you feel them. And then the speaker in turn shares from a space of great self-awareness, making sure you don't blame the other. And such a heartfelt, loving conversation can bring true love into relationships. It can help you move away from the negative bias of the brain and help you solve an actual problem, if there is any. Before taking leave of you, I want you to remember that your brain is just not a survival mechanism, but the human brain is an incredible creation that can experience profound states of consciousness. You have a consciousness that is capable of going beyond selfishness to a space of deep compassion, where you can be moved by the suffering of the other. You can be moved by the suffering in the world. And you can respond to create a difference. The human brain and consciousness is capable of great equanimity, a state in which no matter what challenge unfold around you, you could be unfazed and respond to life from a state of incredible clarity. You have a brain and consciousness that is capable of great blissfulness, bliss that can flow into interactions and into silence, bliss that can flow into solitude and in relationships. This is the power of your brain and your consciousness when it is enlightened. That is why we say only when you are enlightened, you know the glory of being human. You become an entrepreneur who makes decisions without succumbing to anxiety. You become a parent who can relate to one's child without succumbing to worry. You become a partner who can truly care without judgments. I travel around the world. I visit 25 to 30 countries every year. I lead people through deep spiritual journeys. One question that keeps coming up again and again is, how do I come out of my body issues? Issues around my appearance. It is only when you go beyond the incessant judgment over your body, it is only then you can be truly joyful. Stay with me. This is important for you, for your loved ones. It is very important for your children. Namaste. You don't see the lions in the wild, where one lion is aspiring to become like the other lion. You don't see a lion with a black mane hating himself, wanting to have a golden mane. You definitely don't see it. You don't see a humpback whale being dissatisfied with themselves, wanting to become blue whales. This foolish obsession is not there in the rest of 100 billion species on this planet. But irrespective of culture, irrespective of gender, irrespective of age, irrespective of race, I have seen millions struggle with their body image. And when I say body image, it is not only that which relates to weight alone. Your body image could be around any issues around any part of your body. It could be about your hair, your skin, your nose, or your body as a whole. When you pay close attention, you will see that you're most of the time commenting, criticizing, fussing, or meddling with your body. It could be starting from the color of your toenails, to the width of your nose, to the texture of your hair. You are continuously obsessing over your body. And this obsession, very sadly, has been fueled by the ideals that is set by the society and culture. A large part of the population in the world believe of an ideal body. They believe that there is such a thing as an ideal face, or an ideal lip size, an ideal shape of an eye, an ideal thickness of an eyebrows, an ideal complexion. This is absurd. And added to this is it keeps changing with every season, because it is dependent on the whim and the fancy of different fashion houses. And the result is millions are driving themselves to feeling that they are not good enough. So let us understand what happens to you when you obsess with having an ideal body. You become judgmental about your body appearance. You become a very insecure human being because you believe that your body is not as it should be. And you also constantly project that you are as though you're being judged by others as being insufficient, that you are insufficient. And in order to escape this unhappiness and insecurity, many people do go through cosmetic surgeries, but yet they continue to remain unhappy. I'm not against beautifying oneself. Please understand, to appreciate beauty, to appreciate the beauty in one's body, to appreciate beauty in one's surrounding is part of human nature. This appreciation for beauty is ancient. Even today, when you look at the archaeological evidences of the ancient civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, almost 10,000 years ago, there were several forms of jewelry that is used by women. Men did trim their beards to perfection. They even used cosmetics at that point. You may value beauty. You may aspire to be beautiful. But what is truly concerning is becoming obsessed with your body. And just know that obsession is a constant preoccupation. Just imagine that Einstein was preoccupied with his unruly hair when he was in his 20s. Do you think he'd have been a genius? Or do you think he would have found space and time to discover the theory of relativity if he was obsessed about his hair? I have met people for whom beautifying themselves has morphed into an obsession. And for a few, it has become an addiction. They do not know where to stop. Their mind constantly keeps projecting that they are just one stitch away or one cut away from perfection. Perfection and total happiness. And they go on sculpting themselves. And between the 10th and the 19th century, something very cruel happened in China. They had a very bizarre idea of beauty. They believed that beautiful women needed to have tiny feet that were small and dainty. And that is why Chinese upper-class children's feet, their bones were broken. They were bound tightly so that they would develop this tiny feet, which is called the lotus feet. And many girls became immobile because of such feet. Can you imagine the torture that was endured by girls, young girls, for thousands of years because of this ideal idea of feet size, because of a stupid idea of ideal beauty? Look at the paintings of Da Vinci, look at the paintings of Rembrandt. You see women with full faces, rounded arms, with a tiny paunch. That was the idea of beauty. Mona Lisa was definitely not a size 0. And if you look at the paintings in Ajanta, there are images of very beautiful women and men in all colors. There are fair people, there are dark people, there are brown people. And it is very sad that India has lost this appreciation of beauty in all colors, in all its hues. And this obsession for some ideal beauty is driving our children, it is driving our men, it is driving our women to depression. Let me tell you how. I have met, in my travels, I have met middle-aged women, elderly women. I have met people with a skin that is like glass. So many of these people have gone through Botox around their cheeks or on their lips, or they used fillers. But that is not the problem. So the facial skin and the tiny muscles in their faces are stretched due to the Botox or the fillers. These people can hardly smile. Their frozen faces do not allow them to smile. There is a danger in this. The mind and the body are one interconnected organism. The happier you are, the more you smile. The more you smile, the more joyous you become. The reverse is also true. The less you smile, the less joy you experience. And that is why these people are becoming depressed. Can you see the immense suffering and unhappiness that is caused by this absolute idea of an ideal beauty? Is it worth it? Discard the idea of an ideal beauty. If you did that, then you would find immense peace within yourself. When you arrive at peace around your body, something magical happens. If you dissolve your body issues, you will awaken to great intelligence within yourself. Drop this obsession, and you would experience a new sense of self. This new sense of self is a playground for great intelligence. It is a playground for great creative force to flow into your life. Let me ask you this question. Do you love your body? Do you judge your body as being less than beautiful? As being less than ideal? Begin your journey in that awareness and head towards freedom.